Hello, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. And thanks for all the questions you guys are putting in. I really enjoy seeing them and learning a little bit more about your pups, and also getting to see the great batches of food that you all are making. So for some reason, hopefully this page will load up for me well, but I'll get started with a couple of questions that that Hannah sort of put together for me that I know you guys are curious about. And there's a lot of new folks in the group, which is really wonderful. So for those of you that are new, if you go back through the group and look at the videos, you'll see just a ton of previous broadcasts into Facebook. And then there should also be these sessions that we're doing now on YouTube. What we've done is set up a new part of the course so that each one of these sessions is in the question and answer part of the course, and then you'll be able to access them. We'll have some transcripts and things of that nature, so you should be able to roll through and see what we discussed in each episode. So hopefully that is helpful. So we'll start off with Nicole's question, and she's asking, are there veggies we should avoid using for dogs besides onions? And really, Nicole, the big one is onions and garlic, and high doses. So what that means is that, and this goes back to the next question from Laura, so on every website everywhere, onions and garlic are listed as toxic, period, end of story. And what that means to you, the pet owner, is that any amount is toxic. And that's simply not true. It is dose dependent. So for instance, a 50-pound dog could eat one raw clove of garlic every day without any ill effects. Same thing with onions. You know, if they get a couple of onions in the food, it's okay. I would not make it a major part of their diet, though, because what it does is create something called Heinz body anemia, and cats are even more sensitive. So that's just not a great thing to add a ton of. But 1 clove of garlic in 16 cups of food should not be a problem whatsoever. And then, is it okay to Instant Pot cook meat separately? And absolutely. So the Instant Pots evidently are like the best thing since sliced bread. It's one of those appliances we debate about adding into our stuff we tote around, but instead I got a juicer, which is a whole nother bag of wax. But at any rate, yes, use them. That idea of pressure cooking is faster. So the whole idea about slow cooking in Chinese medicine is that if you slow cook, you add heat less intensely than if you use a hotter method, say boiling, roasting, things of that nature. So, you know, that's sort of, there's the ideal, and then there's what you can do on a regular basis to make this work for you and your family. And if that creates the right texture for your pups, then that's great. So evidently they like the shredded meat, and the veggies pureed is fine. So that's great. And there are times when we were cooking for 10, 5 dogs and 5 cats, we'd cook the protein separately from the vegetables because they had different cooking times and took longer to cool. So absolutely not a problem. So keep rocking and rolling on that. So Laura was asking about the garlic, and I think I explained that to you. So again, it's dose dependent. So is chocolate, so is a lot of other things that are toxic. And it's sort of, in America, we're sort of all or none about everything. So that we all know plenty of Labradors that have eaten the economy-sized bag of Hershey Kisses and live to tell about it. And most often the worst effect is diarrhea, sadly, from the fat in the chocolate. So again, it is completely safe to use that low dose of garlic in there. And the other question that we frequently get is, why are turmeric and mustard in there? And those are both culinary herbs that have the power to relieve stagnation in Chinese medicine. And turmeric at appropriate doses can be super helpful with chronic inflammation, cancer, et cetera, et cetera. But the goal there in the diet, that 1 teaspoon, isn't going to provide therapeutic benefits, but again, the diet is more of a long-range strategy to prevent disease going forward, if that makes sense. So I hope that helps. And then Erin is welcome, Erin. Glad you're here with us. So she's asking about using beans or not using beans. So why do some recipes have beans and why do some not? So the reason is that beans are great food sources, but if your pup has a sensitive stomach, they contain anti-nutrients called lectins. And for most of us, these aren't a problem, but for some of us, they are a big problem. And so I would suggest trying a bean-free option to start with, unless you've been feeding a grain-free diet, because often the carbohydrate source there is a bean. So garbanzo beans, lentils, etc. And if you are not wanting to add a lot of starch, that's a great option to start with. Now, if you find that she is losing weight too quickly with just the meat, veggies, you may want to add the beans back in. They're called slow carbs as well because they are so high in fiber. They tend to release the carbohydrate amount very, very slowly, and so that can have some really huge benefits as well. So I hope that helps, Erin. So I would, again, so long story short, try the recipes without beans, and then try it with beans and see how things are. And especially if she's starting to drop weight too quickly, you might add the beans back in. And then Karen's asking about what olive oil to use. And welcome, and I hope that your conversion from raw to cooked goes really, really well. But olive oil, I think what you want to do is, the dirty secret about olive oil is that a lot of it has sat around for somewhere between 6 months and a year. So you want to find one that is ideally organic. Extra virgin, I find, has a more pungent taste to it, so you may want to go with a lighter olive oil. And then the other thing, Karen, is do rotate between oils. So use things like coconut oil, grapeseed oil, and avocado oil. So I hope that's helpful. So a lot of times with the oils as well, you want to, a lot of people will add them when they're mixing up the diet, but do wait to add them until the food has cooled a little bit so that protects the nutritive benefits. So let's see if we can pop over to the Facebook page and see if this rounded up a little bit. Yeah, it looks like we've got a little bit better feed going on here. So let's pop over to the page. There's a couple of other questions we didn't get. So here's these 2 little kittens. Somebody sent me a picture of them. They were just adorable. So May's asking about salt. So Redmond, Erin's saying Redmond's real salt, and I think it is a really good, it's a great salt, and that's what we usually use. And I'm not sure if it has sufficient iodine, but I'll double check on that. So we use the really fine ground salt. So yeah, and I think, let's see, what are the other results here? Yeah, and so you can get the kosher, which is chunkier, as Erin was saying, and then you can get the fine salt. And actually that's mined not too far outside of Provo, Utah. So it really is good stuff. And the other thing, the reason I went to this mined salt is that, unfortunately, sea salt is, most all of it is contaminated with plastic, which is not cool. So we'll double check on the iodine part, but what a lot of folks will do is use seaweed at something like a 1/4 teaspoon to add into the CrockPet Diet to bring that iodine level up. So let's see here. And then Bettina's got a couple of roasters rolling. So she's cooking for 3. really large dogs, and she always makes these beautiful, colorful batches. I think she's she's made these poster recipes, and it just looks delicious, doesn't it? And okra, man, I tell you what, Mary Jo and I were like jonesing for okra for a long time when we came out west, and thankfully it's been showing up a little bit here and there. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then for some reason my Facebook page feed cuts off here. So hopefully that's got all of our questions answered. If you all have other questions, the best way, if you're not on Facebook, to ask these questions is to go into either email Hannah at Dr. Ruth Roberts at drruthroberts.com. She's our support person. If you need something in the group, reach out to her on Facebook and she'll get you some answers. So that's what I have for you this week. We're going to take a break next week. I think that's right, and belay to Tuesday because Monday is Memorial Day. And yeah, that's right. And we'll be traveling. So we will see you Tuesday at 10:30 instead of on Monday. So the other cool thing is we've got some awesome changes coming up in the store that I think are going to make your life easier as far as finding products, finding the right thing for your pet. And I think that's going to be wonderful. And so we'll have a big Labor Day sale coming up. So look for some information in your email and in the group about the sales coming up. So until next week, and I see there's 3 of you guys on right now. Until next week, thanks so much for coming and asking questions. Keep those questions coming. Let me know what I can do to support you. Take good care. Many thanks.